Hi everyone. So we've been at this on digital transformation since about 14 years now. We worked across the industry, many segments of the industry. We've seen a lot of gaps in the industry. So while you've seen excellent examples of how to make the experience alive, I'm sharing more information about the gaps that we've noticed and how maybe the industry can kind of try to work to plug those gaps in some way. So the how of transformation, right? So a little bit about us to establish our credibility. So our specialization is in the overlap between consumer tech and business, and we work on both the consumer funnel and the fulfillment funnel. So there are these two funnels that come together to enable a consumer experience. Also is enabled through the fulfillment funnel as well. So on the stakeholder side of the consumer funnel, we work on the full the dice experience. There's the dealer, the influencer, the consumer, and the employee. So all these also need to come together to kind of enable the retail experience to come out. So one of the verticals we work on is experiential retail, but now it's more and more part of the whole consumer and influencer funnel. So the end-to-end funnel. So there's a seamless retail that's going on. And then there is the consumer app and web, the consumer tech product experience center. So it's kind of everything is now merging together. We're seeing this tech kind of seamlessly flow across all segments. So the effort needed to come up with this is a 5D effort. It always starts from discovery, which is the consumer research discovery, the UX research. Then there is a definition, which is the business transformation strategy. Then you come up with the design, which is the interaction design, the stakeholder journeys, the user experience. Then you have development of the software, content, hardware. And then you have deployment, which is the most critical part, the adoption of these solutions. These are some of the many clients that we work for across industry segments. So automobiles, even food, Barilla, Elixir, etc. And some of the case studies of our transformation have been the largest case study is Asian Paints, which started in 2010 and it's been going on till today. So what we do is we help establish the full consumer experience segment. It starts from attract. You have attract, inspire, engage, inform, consult, shortlist, finalize, deliver. So we break the experience into these experience segments and then take the customer through these experience segments. Then the scale up. So the scale up happens when we create that signature experience. We create the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 versions of that experience. And then that scales across retail formats. So till today, there have been like 1,000 plus tier 1, 2,000 plus tier 3 outlets, 80 plus beautiful homes. But the original strategy has been the same. Everything is a scaled down version of that strategy, those solutions. So this is one of the tier 1 outlets, which you can see. So there is a visualizer, which is a critical sales tool that gets set up inside the store. And then the tangible experience in store is very important. It cannot be a pure digital format. So when people come to this outlet, they want to experience paint finishes. That's what they've come here for. So now there is an integration between finish panels, which you place on the consultant table. There's a consultant. There's a consultation tool. And these panels then get seamlessly integrated with the visualizer. And you can start visualizing in customer homes, in sample room sets. So people start getting an idea of the final solution that they will get, right? And then now this is like one version of it. There are like several, the online, offline version of this is expanded. The same with Pidilite. Pidilite is a multi-brand group of companies. And we also established their attract, orient, engage, inform, the whole experience segments. Now the difference here was Pidilite is a very influencer-centric brand. The homeowner is one of the lower D2C, but their D2I, which is direct to influencer, is big. So this retail format was set up for architects and interior designers alongside the homeowner. So there's the attract, which is the video wall banner. There's the orient. You come close and it activates. Then there is the we engage, where we're taking you through various tangible experiences of solutions that the brand is offering. But the storytelling is all customer centric. It's not product centric nor brand centric. It's about, you want to see how to join two materials together, you place those materials, and we show you the adhesives that join those two materials together. Then this is one of the brand centric solutions where they talk about the history of Fevicol. Then there are more tangible presentations where you scan surfaces and you get what solutions can help you with those particular surfaces. And then they have their city flooring. So you see that flooring, the various options of those floorings. And then one example over here is Van Heusen, where we set up their signature outlet in Bangalore. And I'll also show this experience to you. So here there's again a whole personalization which Surendra was referring to. You come, you get scanned, and then you have a consultation tool. You can go through a consultation. It can be, we can advise you based on the garment you selected in store. There's a virtual trial. Then there is a style simulator where we simulate the lighting inside the trial room. And just outside the trial room, there is a click and compare. Then there is a stylist in store who uses the consultation tool to give you the consultation. So these are other examples of how tools have been made for influencers. So this is just how consumers have CRM, customer relationship management tools. Similarly, we made IRM, which is the influencer relationship management tool, to engage influencers now within the retail space, because now the whole outreach, engage, inform for influencers also happens simultaneously. Then these are the IoT sensors which we've recently implemented for a brand who wanted to just track the engagement per product inside that retail space. And that's the kind of data. So Google, we're doing it for Google, and they get store-wise, device-wise data centrally. So they can start comparing the lift time, how many times a particular device has been lifted, and the dwell time, how many seconds has that device been lifted for. So they get this kind of a data. And similarly with Asian Paints, not only is Asian Paints now tracking the sales data, which was earlier happening by virtue of the POS, now they're also tracking the finishes which the customer has shown interest in. And that interest related data can only be tracked via an in-store engagement. It will never come via the sales tool like the POS. So what is retail tech transformation? It is not fancy technology in store. It is not latest technology in store. It is not AR, VR. These are all good terms, good tech to have, but it's not the must tech to have, right? So if you see the Uber tech, basically from day one, their map tech is their most critical tech. And now maybe it's 15, 20 years old. So if you have the right tech in the right place, it does wonders. Even the best tech in the wrong place will not do any wonders. Right? So it's digital solutions for human problems. So we have to now pivot around the consumer. We have to keep the consumer in the center, consumer problems in the center, and we pivot around it. So it's people-centered. We solve the problems, but those problem solving has to be a scalable system. Because ultimately you want to roll it across various formats and scale using that tech. It cannot be a very single store specific tech. That does not work. So if I talk about product, brand or tech centric thinking of how do I present my brand or products better, we should talk about what does the customer actually want to see and learn in store. Maybe he doesn't want to know about your brand, right? Or how do I fit maximum products in store? So how many products will a customer want to experience? Or how do I implement AI, which is the latest. Now everybody's talking about how do I implement AI. So it's not about AI, it's about how will the customer benefit from AI. Will he benefit? If he doesn't benefit, you don't need to implement. What discount should I offer? So we should ask when and why does the customer want a financial incentive? You don't need to broadcast it the minute a customer comes in. The online e-commerce world has kind of mastered it, where if you leave something in your cart and you don't check out, then slowly after a couple of nudges, the third nudge will be a financial nudge. So these are the kind of signs that the offline retail world should work on. And how do I engage the customer better? It should mostly be like, what will the customer do to engage with me? It should be the other way around. So Asian Paints did it with us. They pivoted very heavily from a product-centric brand to a complete consumer experience-centric brand. And the language changed so much. Like when I remember when we started talking about, instead of paint, we talk about wall decor, wall finishes. And just because of that mental pivot, they entered the whole home decor segment. Like today, they have beautiful homes just because they wanted to own decor as a category, not paint as a category. So category ownership is another thing. I think like Uber is no longer a taxi, it's a mobility company. Category ownership is very critical for a company to scale up. So technology is now like clay. You should make what you want. So instead of using pots to eat food in, if you want to eat food, then you need to make your cutlery from clay. So don't buy what's there, and that's what's missing, the gap in the industry. So I've noted down some of the gaps. So one very important gap which we noticed is the mandate gap. Now we have marketing, we have IT. The two departments which are kind of trying to co-own digital transformation. So whereas marketing is creative, customer-centric, customized, but marketing is very campaign-oriented, acronym lovers. They're ephemeral, non-tech focused. They're front of funnel. They mostly work on attract. Now we have IT. They're long-term transformation, tech enabling, but they're back-end facing. They're non-consumer centric. They also now have been pushed to liking 3-letter acronyms. Earlier they were more transformational, but they like ready-made solutions. They're not so much into the customization. They'll take a CRM and ERP. They'll take some SaaS tools, products. They'll develop some solutions, but it'll be more along the lines of standardization. But what do we need? We need digital transformation that is long-term, strategic, customer-centric, customized, and ROI delivering. Now, this overlapping mandate is the stakeholder that's missing in the industry. We either report to marketing or we report to IT, but we don't kind of fit in both departments because it never matches. The mandate doesn't match. So while why are signages now exploding everywhere? Because signage is this perfect solution where tech is procured, so IT is happy. It's short-term, attractive campaigns, marketing is happy. They can put their campaigns on it. But there's no strategic value. The customer is oblivious. It's a race to the bottom. Soon every store will have massive amount of signages. The whole facade will be a signage. Inside wall will be a signage. Everything will be a signage. So ROI is questionable. People are unable to track the ROI. And the value add is not there. So out of that whole experience segment, retail tech is massively concentrating on attract and inspire. All the other value adding segments are almost missing in retail tech. So now because we have non-strategic signages, no ROI, the books are unhappy. So questions like why spend so much, how much to spend on signage solutions, these are typical questions which come up. But if you use some strategic signage, if your signages are leading to some leads in some form, then you still have a way to evaluate cost per impression or cost per lead. So your science comes in, your investment comes in, you have some ROI coming in, and you have some way of calculating the investment on the signage. But if you move beyond the signage into all the strategic retail tech solutions, which means more business, which means books are happy, then you directly reach cost per conversion, and then it's a very easy science to evaluate how much to spend on retail tech. So our conversion tool, which is in Asian Paint stores, they led to a 30% increase in conversions. So there was a direct science, how much value add is there with this retail tech, how much to invest in it. So these are examples, industry specific. We transformed a real estate player into a full digital real estate player. So they're selling digitally. So when we started with them, their turnover was around 100 to 300 crore first 3 years. So we spent about 12 crore, which is around 3% of their turnover, on transforming the whole consumer funnel, all the digital product stack. And by the time we finished, another 2 years after that, they reached a turnover of 1,000 crore. Today they're at 2,500 crore. Using the consumer funnel tech. Completely scalable. Now, the annual expense to run the consumer funnel is just 4 crore, which is 0.4% of their turnover. So, retail tech is a front-heavy investment, but in the long run, the kind of value add is immense. There's another like paint player we're working with. Today, their turnover is around 25,000 crore. We're doing about 100 stores a year with them. So their signature store initially costed around 1.2 crore, and then we rolled out. So now they have average 800 tier 1. They spend about 12 lakhs for the interiors and 6 lakhs on the store tech. So it's about a 50% ratio. And there's a new tile player. They're spending equally on the interiors, 17.5 lakhs and 17.5 lakhs on the store tech. So what we're trying to say is there's no single science to deriving ROI. Every brand will have their own science, but if you do strategic retail tech, you will reach the science. So one thing which is missing in the industry is the TX architect. So I'll give you an example of how you do store layouts. You have a science, you do your layout, you do your custom interiors, right? But now imagine me coming to you and saying, no customized store layouts, buy products from the market, ready-made, on rent, and place them in store. So you go buy a dining table, you go buy a cupboard, you buy a cabinet, you buy some office chairs, and you try to now decorate your retail space. It'll be a disaster. And that is what's happening in tech today. Retail tech is being bought like that. People are going around shopping for ready-made solutions and force-fitting them into a scenario where they cannot fit. Right? So this is the customized roadmap that should be created, which is not being created, which is completely customer-centric. Outreach, interact, inspire, explore. The online, in-store, at home. You define your solutions, then you create them. But instead, we're buying like that. What's available, ये है, ये अच्छा, इसको fit करते हैं. अच्छा, इसमें 10 features काम के हैं, 90 काम के नहीं है. 90 we cannot use, 10 we can use, let's use those 10. So this is the kind of scenario that's coming up. Now as a case study, so a 6,000 crore plus client deployed a SaaS tool from a startup for a critical sales tool, right? They deployed a critical sales tool from a startup. And the SaaS company folded. They went bankrupt. Today, that client is in a fix. Their sales funnel collapsed. So now there are solutions to make sure this thing never happens again, right? So similarly, there are customized hardware. There is ready-made hardware. Now the problem is people are using hardware more like sprinkles. So they'll do a store, they'll make a nice store, and then they'll sprinkle some interesting hardware in the store. That's a disaster, no ROI, right? So this is a live example. A client deployed smart TVs for an online paint visualizer in store. Now, in India, the internet connections are not perfect. So if you run online visualizers in your paint stores, many times they will not be working and customer does not have the patience. So that turned out to be a disaster. Then there are clients who deployed signages and they didn't have a roadmap on content, CMS, how to keep populating the signage. So that was another challenge that they encountered. So what happens is the overlap between management consultants, design consultants, and tech service providers. This is the overlap that's needed to transform properly. Like you need a seamless 5 Ds of discover and define, design, develop, and deploy. So the remaining part of the retail tech funnel, which is missing, right? So if I say like you have your key stakeholders, the CEO, the MD, the CMO, the CSO, the CIO, CTO, there has to be an integrated transformation across these departments. It cannot be done individually per department. And a partner should ideally run like a sutradhar across. So this is very quickly I'll run through the process of transformation. There is a discovery. You do your research, you identify consumer problems, you define your experience segments, you define your omni-channel retail solutions for the consumer, and then you implement them using tech, which is the right tech. And in terms of the blueprint, your retail twin pyramids are pre-retail, retail, post-retail. This is what you create. in-store, at home, online. This is now the retail blueprint, right? So every customer will have a different way to run across this omni-channel. This is how the seamless omni-channel runs. This is the store. So your store journey is a part of your retail journey. Retail journey is now a much bigger journey. And these are your stakeholders for retail. It's not only the consumer. You have your influencers, you have your counter sales executive, you have your dealer, and then all of those players are part of the funnel.
Thank you, Anurag.